Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead coming at you from the end of the video because I realised that I didn't actually explain what the Spanish Tournament Packet, STP, is until like halfway through the video, which makes a lot of this not make sense. The Spanish Tournament Packet, firstly, the primaries are hold one, hold more, kill one, so it's only 3, unlike Slaughter Zone, etc. And for the secondaries, you roll a d8 and you get whichever of these secondary pods you see here. The only stipulation being, you see they all have different colours. You have to pick at least one from each colour. So you could pick 1 red, 2 greens, or 2 greens, 1 red. That's it, that's the Spanish Tournament Packet. Also, I'm about to look at a whole bunch of data with you, number of players, number of wins, etc. But here's some questions for you. Firstly, as you're going through, why aren't Tyranids winning anything? Why aren't Tau winning anything? And in a genuine sense, so no memes, no because Death Denied is 3 CP, no memes, why aren't Space Marines winning anything? And I do think that is the strangest one, that Space Marines aren't winning. Everything else you can kind of reason out and make sense. No Space Marines is really weird. Also, if you haven't already answered my poll on my community tab, that's up here, you go from home, videos, playlist, community. If it didn't turn up in your feed, would you like to answer which grand faction you play? There's no reason for this. This isn't going towards anything. I just think it would be nifty to know. At 59 votes, Imperium have taken a pretty good lead. And yeah, I'm 100% a Xenos player, but I actually can't answer my own poll. Enjoy the video. Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here. Today I'm going to be having a few musings about factions people like to play and how I feel they're performing in local games. This image I'm not actually going to talk too much about. I thought you might find it interesting. It was provided by John Sow from his blog Desiree, I think it's called. He also has a YouTube channel that I have linked below. But first, a little proviso about why I'm not going to talk about tournament results, which you'd think would be exactly my thing, right? The reason I'm not going to talk too much about these is because, so John Sow is like the head commentator, if you will, for Kill Team when it comes to Spain, and specifically Spain, only Spain. And Spain seems to have a slightly different meta going on to the rest of the world. Firstly, they run a lot of tournaments, like multiple in a month, so they've got a lot of data, which is awesome to see. However, they seem to be a little bit all over the place, which is understandable because there are different formats out there, and they are playing those different formats. So some of these wins would be from, they are all 100 points. That's one thing to note. They're all 100 points. Some are from hold 1, hold 2, hold more. Some are from hold kill, but they've all just been compiled into one table. Personally, I'm not also that big a fan of going with the 100 points, but that's how they play it, so good for them. I think what's pretty interesting to note here is that there are so many Drukhari wins, and so many Admech, and so many Necrons, and then everybody else kind of spreads out a little bit. Interesting, only one Azayani win, and no Orcs up there. Those are kind of, or Tau. Those are the 3 things that jump out at me. Let's go and see why that might be, because these are just the wins, and of course the one thing you have to know when talking about who won what is who took what. So, John did this very nice little graphic here, which I am failing at technology. So, Drukhari absolutely dominated the Spanish meta, but it also seems that Drukhari were the most taken faction of everything. So, 17 people took Drukhari, 16 took Adeptus Astartes, although notice, wait, did Adeptus Astartes win anything? No, they didn't, sorry. Good thing that Death Denied is 2 CP, or 3 CP now, isn't it? Awkward. Drukhari, most taken faction, also won the most. That's, kind of with LVO you had a similar issue of Azayani were the most taken faction, I think, and they won the most and had the most representation up at the top 8. But is that a symptom or a cause or an effect? Is it the case of Azayani are good, so good players are playing them? Or is it a case of good players are playing Azayani? I think it's actually both. So, Drukhari, most taken, also the most wins. Adeptus Astartes, second most taken, no wins. That's pretty questionable for them. We then have 3 factions coming in 3rd place here. Tau, Orcs, Death Guard. Now we know Death Guard got, I think, 1 win, maybe 2. Necrons, did I say Orc? It was Tau, Necrons, and Death Guard. Forget Orcs. Necrons also got wins. Obviously, Tau, 13 takes, no wins at all. Now, we do see that the majority of the games were in the Slaughterfest pack, which is hold kill. So I can kind of get why Tau aren't dominating in that. There's still a lot of people took them, though. Almost as many as Drukhari. Not quite as many as Death Guard there, but the same as Necrons. I'm really surprised Tau didn't take anything. It's possible that they didn't win because Drukhari are actually really good counter to them. Now, I don't know what list Drukhari were running, actually, because in my mind, I think that Drukhari have a bit of a tough time against Tau, because they don't have the armor saves to make up for the strength 5 shots that should be hitting them. But then they do all get invuln, feel no pain saves. It's a wash, I don't know. I'm surprised Death Guard didn't win more, but I understand why Necrons won lots. Yes, it seems that people have, since my LVO thrashing, to be clear, I was the one that received the thrashing, have realised that Necrons are OP, so they are now cat out of bags. Death Guard, surprised Death Guard didn't win more. I think Death Guard is still super strong. However, Tau, really good counter Death Guard, so they could easily counter each other out. When just looking at numbers, you never know who faced who on the way up. After the 13s, we've got 11 people taking Grey Knights. Now, remember, that's mainly in Slaughterfest. Did we get any Grey Knight wins? We did, 2 silvers. Grey Knights are one of the ones that are super swingy, so whilst I'm not surprised that Grey Knights got some places there, I kind of would have expected more, but it really depends. I mean, if they go up against Drukhari and Drukhari just gets some mortal wounds, they're dead. You know, very swingy army. After that, at 10s, we've got Astra Militarum, which interestingly, people were taking for Slaughterfest and Adepticon. Nobody's taking them for the STP, Spanish Tournament Packet, which I'll describe in a moment. We've got Admech. That's another interesting one, actually. But then we also have Heretic Astartes. Now, going back to Admech, they're by no means the most taken faction, but they got a lot of wins. They got 2 firsts and 3 thirds, which is as many placements as Drukhari and Necrons got, even though those guys were taking more people. So that's actually some very strong or lucky Admech players over in Spain, it would appear. And also another note on Astra Militarum, lots of people taking them for Slaughterfest and Adepticon, but nobody taking them for STP, which makes me think that people have looked at the pack and said, for the pack, by the way, for those of you that don't know, is hold 1, hold more, kill 1. So only 3 primaries. And then the secondaries are, they've made their own pods of 6, which are done slightly differently to other Slaughter Zone type pods. So maybe they've looked at Astra Militarum and said, okay, well, I can't deny a kill, so they will always be scoring that. And the list that I want to run isn't actually that great at holding, so I don't know. Or maybe those that wanted to play them have just run out of interest in playing them and moved on. I'm surprised Orcs. So Orcs are here, Harlequins are here. If we're looking at them now, there's 8 players for both. Harlequins got a first and a third. Now, I believe the way the stats are done here is the STP, the Spanish Tournament Packet. These are just the numbers for that tournament. It hasn't actually been played yet. I believe it's being played this weekend. So it would have been played by the time I release this video, I think. And as we see for both the Orcs and the Harlequins, there's a lot more players for the STP than there are for anything else. For the Slaughterfest or Adepticon. That's it. I'm going to leave the rest of the factions to kind of middle out in there. You know, we've got Chaos Demons, Aziani, only 7 players. Somebody played Kroot, unlucky them. I mean, you got to try it, right? You got to try it. But yeah, after somebody plays them, you're like, oh yeah, joke faction. Okay, I get it. Yeah. Elicidian Starstriders, Galapox Infected, and Death Watch, which is weird, were all unplayed until now, but are now being played in the STP, so we might get some interesting results from those. I don't think Death Watch are that bad. They have some really hard counters, but they're not terrible. So I'm actually pretty surprised nobody even attempted them as Slaughterfest or Adepticon. They should be pretty good in the STP, just off the top of my head, but we shall see. I guess the other strange thing is Tyranids. Man, they've taken a real fall from grace, haven't they? Honestly, I think Tyranids are still solid, and I'm really happy that nobody else thinks that, because it means that I can take them to a tournament and dominate with them, and nobody's going to quite understand what I'm doing. Although they will, because obviously they faced Tyranids from back when it was an Adepticon pack, which is weird, as if we look at the Tyranids there, only one person took them for Slaughterfest, but then 4 people would have taken them for Adepticon. So people knew Tyranids are an interesting one. They were a very scary early meta army, but they seem to have just completely fallen out of favour, which is pretty interesting. Do you think that's because people had to play them so much? Everybody now knows how to beat, the infamous 20-man swarm. Don't forget, this is 100 points, so there would only be one warrior in that if they are running the 20-man swarm. Or do you think something else has changed? Have we changed how the secondaries are working, how the primaries are working? A lot of people pointed out that once you go from 100 to 125, Tyranids haven't won a tournament. Sorry, I think I pointed that out. I'm a lot of people, that's fine. And certainly once you go to Slaughterfest, or Hold Kill in general, so LVO as well, they definitely haven't won anything. So that's pretty interesting. But what do you guys think? Do you think there's a reason behind that? Those are just some interesting thoughts from the Spanish meta there. What do you guys think of the Spanish tournament packet? Hold one, hold more, kill one. Seems interesting, potentially. And what do you think? Are any of these results up here shocking to you? Certainly, I'm a little bit shocked that there are so many Drakari players. My gosh. Also, that there are so few Orc players. I would have thought they'd be pretty heavy on the meta, because of course they're a very easy army to collect. And I'm shocked that there are no Tyranid wins. I think that's my main takeaway. So there you go. Between this and this, we have some very interesting statistics for Spain. It's a real shame that nobody else is doing this for the other tournaments, but also I think that the other tournaments are happening internationally, and so internationally we may have more tournaments occurring than Spain, but that's like between, UK, USA, the rest of Europe. Spain's just dominating all of us. Certainly, if you look at the ITC scores, Spain is just dominating because they've just done more tournaments than us. Also, I believe this STP Spanish tournament packet, the next one is being played on what's it called, Tabletop Simulator, TTS, because obviously the virus shut down. They actually had a weekend tournament set for this weekend, so yesterday, and obviously the shutdown, they couldn't do it, so they decided to hold it on TTS instead. And I believe that means that none of these blue numbers at the moment have taken effect, but by the time you see this, there will be new wins, a new top 3. And maybe we will get those Orcs. Perhaps the Orcs weren't showing up because people wanted to run shooty Orcs, but they didn't want to buy flash kits. But now on TTS, you just import your models. Should I do a TTS video? Do we want to see that? Do you want to see how TTS actually works? Not sure. If enough people say yes, I'll do one. Also, I've started a poll over on my community tab. If you look up at the top here, you go Home, Videos, Playlist, Community. If it didn't pop up in your feed, that's where you have to go. What's your favourite Grand Faction? I'm sure there's a better term than Grand Faction. I made that up. I probably stole it from AOS. Imperium, Chaos, Eldari, or Xenos. There's only 32 votes at the moment. Imperium is way ahead. Genuinely curious. I can't actually vote on this. Oh, hold on. I'll give myself a thumbs up. Nice. But I definitely go Xenos. 100%. But what about you guys? I'm just curious where everybody lies. Like, we managed to get 500 votes. 501 there for competitive versus narrative. It actually pulled out, kind of Brexit close. So that means there's not really a result, but we're going to go with narrative is better anyway, aren't we? Yeah, fucking bullshit. Let's see if we get another 500 votes just to see which is actually the biggest faction. I think it will be Imperium, won't it? So anyway, have a vote of your favourite Grand Faction. Let me know if you want to see any videos about TTS. And also, you are going to get some serious video message spam from me this week, because I'm intending, because I'm here, quarantined, to just put out 2 videos a day, purely as a test to see what that does to my channel and my viewership ratings. I suspect they should go down, but I want to see if that's true or not. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I will see you another 10 times this week, or another 9 times this week, my gosh.